Hey Tommy, this is an exciting video because finally we have information on the new 2023 Honda Civic Type R, including horsepower.
Absolutely. So they just dropped all of the specs, and in this video we're not only going to tell you the horsepower, but everything you need to know. There's a lot of cool stuff, there's some maybe disappointing stuff, and a little bit of everything in between. So let's get going with what Honda said about the Civic, which is, quote, the most powerful Honda production vehicle ever offered in the US. But what does that actually mean?
Well, what's under the hood, Tommy? I think we know. It's the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder.
Yeah, just like before, but it's a new vented aluminum hood. It's a familiar K20 C1 engine. That engine is built in Honda's Anna engine plant in Ohio alongside the Acura Type S V6 engines, by the way. And the rest of the Type R is assembled in Japan. Now, the last Type R had 306 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque, but what does the new one have?
That's the drum roll.
Yep.
There were reports of 226, 236. It is in fact only 9 horsepower more for a total of 315 at 6,500 RPM and 310 pound-foot of torque between 2,600 and 4,000 RPM.
Yeah, so this is kind of a little bit of a disappointment for me, right? Obviously, a new Type R, you'd expect a really big jump in power. It's only up 9, though, in the horsepower category. Specific output is up to 157.8 horsepower per liter compared to 153.3 before, so of course a little bit more powerful engine in general.
That's still pretty amazing.
Yeah, it still is amazing. It still is an impressive feat of engineering, but I wish they'd pushed the boundaries a little bit more on the horsepower.
Yeah, considering we just got back from driving the new GR Corolla, which puts out 300 horsepower for a 1.6 liter, you figure there's a little bit more horsepower you could squeeze out of a 2-liter 4-cylinder.
Yeah, and that Toyota's just a little 3-banger too.
Yeah.
Now, the Honda is still front-wheel drive, but you do get a helical type limited slip differential like you did with the 10th gen Civic Type R. So technically, it is the most powerful Honda for the US, but not as much of a power bump as we were probably expecting.
All right, so let's talk about the small changes that Honda has made to improve the Type R. First and foremost, there's a larger grille opening, bigger radiator, and a new engine fan to improve cooling.
Absolutely right. There's also an active exhaust valve which opens up at higher RPM to enhance the engine sound. And yes, you still have the iconic three center-mounted tailpipes.
Yeah, Honda gave the new Civic Type R a lighter flywheel and revised rev match system for a 6-speed manual transmission. By the way, the only transmission that you can get. Same thing with the Corolla GR.
It also gains what Honda's calling a high-rigidity gear lever, which makes me wonder if the old one was made out of like noodles or something, and an optimized shift gate pattern. So that's, I have a lot of questions there, but it should make it feel more precise. Not that the last one was kind of wobbly in any means. The last one had one of the best shifter feels out there, so I'm really excited to see how the new one feels if they say it's better.
I'm going to do a little bit of a Roman rant here before we keep going, right? Usually when we do these things, people are always commenting like, shouldn't it have 350? But to me, this was always a forbidden fruit, right? For the longest time, Europe got this car and we never did. So I'm just happy that it's here. So let's talk about the longer wheelbase. The new Civic Type R is on a 107.7-inch wheelbase. That's 1.4 inches longer than before. And it is the longest wheelbase in class, Tommy. Overall, the car is, 0.08 inches longer, 0.5 inches wider, and 0.5 inches wider and 0.6 inches longer.
So what you need to know there is lower, longer, wider by just a little bit. The body of the 11th generation Type R is much more rigid than the previous generation. All body panels ahead of the A-pillar are unique to the Type R, including a more aggressive front bumper. Pretty cool little thing there. It's got wider rear doors exclusive to the Type R, as is a new rear bumper and redesigned spoiler.
So when I was doing this video that I'm pointing to myself pointing at the car recently. They were very keen on the wider rear opening doors. And I thought to myself, out of all the things that I didn't need in a sports car, wider rear opening doors are one of them.
Well, if you're a family person, if you got kids, you need to stick in the back seat, maybe a dog or two. It's a great thing. It's a great thing about the hot hatch world.
But if you're like doing a list, right, a tick list, and you're a Honda engineer, and you're like, what do we need to do? On top of that list for me probably would have been 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, more horsepower, a better shifter, but wider rear doors, not so much.
I think it's a good thing. So is the widened track. Overall, the car is 1 inch wider in the track in the front and almost an inch wider in the rear as well. The new Civic Type R still uses 2-piece front brake rotors, but Honda says it's improved brake cooling and retuned the brake booster to enhance feel and controllability. But my favorite part that they did with this Type R
is something you don't ever see.
They downsized the wheel to give it a bigger sidewall.
All right, yeah, so they went from 10th generation, which was riding on 20s, to the current one, or the new one, now riding on 19-inch wheels instead. But the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires are 20 millimeters wider.
But what I'm hoping for is with a little bit more sidewall, I'm hoping it's got a better ride quality, which would be really, really cool to see. Finally, a company realizing that maybe the huge wheel is good to look at, but not great for overall comfort and performance, and they're bringing it down a little bit.
All right, let's talk about colors. What are the new colors?
Yeah, so the new colors are Championship White, Rally Red, Boost Blue, Crystal Black Pearl, and Sonic Gray Pearl.
Which one do you like the best? What's yours?
I would go for the Rally Red.
Really? I kind of like that Championship White that's up there on the screen.
So there's a lot of changes on the interior as well. Honda says that the driver sits lower than before in new heavily bolstered sport seats. Now, this was one of the issues you had with the 10th gen.
I couldn't get my big American butt into the seats.
So we're going to have to see if this 11th gen
I sat in it.
Yeah, is it better?
Is it better? Yeah, it'd be, for you, it's perfect. For me, Tommy, I'm just feeling very old and fat every time I sit in this car. This is not a feeling you want to get when sitting in any car. And I get that this is a sports car. It's the ultimate Honda. But nevertheless, Americans aren't quite the same body shape as their Japanese friends. So I wish they would look at our body sizes more in line with the seating of this car.
On the plus side, they say visibility has improved thanks to thinner pillars, relocated side mirrors, and a lower hood. And the 11th gen also gets a redesigned digital cluster like standard Civics, but of course the Plus R mode puts RPM and gear position at the very top where you need it, and it's very useful for high performance driving. Plus, the new model has 4 drive modes instead of 3. What do you get?
You get Comfort Sport, Plus R, but you also get an individual mode, which lets you change those settings to your liking.
There's also a new Type R version of the logger system, or
Logo R?
Log R.
Log R.
It's the performance data logger.
Log R.
No longer requires a smartphone app. The logger uses a stopwatch to record lap times. It has a friction circle and all sorts of cool things to help improve your driving skills. And what are some other notable updates?
9-inch touchscreen infotainment, Tommy, up from a 7-inch on the old model. Wireless Apple CarPlay.
Thank goodness.
And Android Auto capability. Qi compatible wireless charging, and Bose Centerpoint audio system comes standard now.
So some really good things I'd like to point out there is the wireless Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto connectivity is really, really good. The new 9-inch screen should be a big improvement over the old one, which I really like. And if you're an audiophile, you got a better sound system, which is pretty cool. But the big question we all want to know is, what is it going to cost?
Yeah, we don't know that yet. It hasn't been introduced. Closer to actually on sale date, which will be this fall.
Yeah, so coming up pretty fast. So is the update going to be enough to compete with the rivals? So obviously Golf R recently brand new, 315 horsepower and all-wheel drive, but it's plagued by a relatively cumbersome infotainment system. Now the Elantra N and the Kona N are potential competitors. Now they had a direct competitor, the Veloster, which just got killed.
Yeah, they just did away with it. But I hear tell that there is a Ioniq 5N coming, which will be all electric. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be a little bigger, though, because that's more of like a crossover style.
It's going to be a lot bigger.
But I think there's certainly a good chance that people are going to cross-shop Elantra and Kona, maybe even Subaru WRX with the new Civic Type R. And then the big elephant in the room, the car we just got back from driving, the GR Corolla.
Yeah, it seems like, these, now that's definitely a hot hatch. These hot hatch wars are heating up, which is a very good thing. And you know what? I can't wait to get behind the wheel of the Honda and see what, the most powerful Honda in America is like to drive.
So overall, it's a little bit of kind of a more grown-up design than the 10th generation. I think they've done a lot of subtle improvements to make it more under the radar than the previous model.
Agree. Yeah.
And I think some people are going to like that. Other people are going to be a little bit bummed. I'm still a little bummed by the lack of a huge bump in horsepower, but depending on the price, this could still be an incredible performer.
Yeah, but let's be real, Tommy. I mean, right now it's putting out 315 horsepower, but I'm sure that 315, right? That was the
number.
The
new one, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sure that once the tuners get their hands on it, that number is going to increase very quickly, very easily. And
then the other question too is, right, you got Golf and you got Corolla now coming in with all-wheel drive as standard, whereas the Civic is still front-wheel drive. So we'll have to see what the market has to say about that. But overall, I like it a lot. I think the design is cool. It still says fun, fast, performance ready on it. So I can't wait to drive it.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for watching TFL. As you know, we have multiple channels, and if you're one of those people who likes to stay on top of the automotive news, just go to alltfl.com where we have all of our stories. Tommy's been cranking out some really great TikTok from the Corolla program, GR Corolla. So if you want to hear the engine of that vehicle, go to our TikTok or go to alltfl.com.
For sure, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Ciao. Thanks, Tommy.